Okay, hello everyone. We are on to Book 7, Deadbeat by Jim Butcher. I accidentally set it down and folded the damn cover. Anyhow, I only got a couple of criticisms, which I'll get to at the end, but in the meantime, this actually might be the best of the book so far. So someone wasn't kidding when they told me these would just start taking off after books 3, 4, that kind of thing. This is getting really outstanding. Having said that, matter of fact, make that 3 criticisms, sort of, little commentary maybe. Page, what did I say, 181. Here, we're going to read this first to you. Woman he meets in this book calls him up, look, I might need some help getting scared here. So he says, he thinks to himself, or maybe it's more correct to say that I'm not comfortable with fear in a woman's voice. It's not my fault. I know it's sexist and macho and it's retrograde social evolution, but I hate it when bad things happen to women. Don't get me wrong, I hate when bad things happen to anyone. But when it's a woman that's in danger, I hate it with a reflexive, bone-deep, primal mindlessness that borders on insanity. Women are beautiful creatures, and damn it, I enjoy making sure that they are safe and treating them with old-fashioned manners and courtesy. It just seems right. I suffered for thinking that way more than once, but it still didn't change the way I felt. Sheila was a girl, she was scared, therefore if I wanted to have any peace of mind, I was going to have to talk to her. So either Butcher has the wrong definition or Dresden does. And often the general public do get the definitions of words completely incorrect. I'm not seeing sexism here, but I decided maybe my man brain has just got this wrong. So we do a little searching. So the closest thing to Dresden's issue here is stated is what you might call benevolent sexism. And what benevolent sexism is a guy who is very nice to you. He's protective, and he wants to save you and be there for you, so long as you fit the narrow definition of what he thinks is womanly. Dresden doesn't do this. There's Karen Murphy, the Chicago detective, who often partners up with him, and there's no damsel in distress there, and he utterly respects her. There is Susan, who is his ex-girlfriend, who is almost a vampire. She's completely different from Murphy and fully capable of taking care of herself. He doesn't put them in these narrow definitions and says, I'm going to protect you only so long as you're doing the womanly things I think you should be. And the same thing with this woman, Sheila, although she's the least of them as far as her capability, which has something to do with something else in the book, which I don't want to spoil. I'm trying to do these kind of half spoilery without giving things away, but Sheila does have a big role to play in this. And so I don't think that, I don't know, he just likes looking at women and describes them in detail. But he doesn't have some kind of overbearing temperament towards them and try to control them. The worst thing, it's not even the worst thing, it's like he gets called a chauvinist pig. There's a monster over there. He's got superpowers. Whether it be Murphy or Susan or whoever, they don't. And he's like, look, I need to handle this. You can get killed here. And they go, you pig, I can handle myself. This would be like me having Superman's powers, and there's an evil Superman over there, and I turn to someone who's just a person and saying, look, you mind, this could get really ugly and you can get killed with the flick of a finger. Do you mind going somewhere else? So I'm just not convinced on the charges of sexism, even from the character himself. Having said that, let's see, I noted the page numbers on 321. Let's see here. I stared at her for a second and then sighed, a little frustrated. She had a point, after all, but damn it, I didn't want to see anyone else get hurt because of Kemmler's disciples, particularly not anyone with such lovely breasts. So there we have the sexism of reducing someone to their body parts and not seeing them as a person. But That's the thing is, in other passages through the book, Harry definitely sees women as people. So it's sprinkled with messed up comments like that, but I've heard all this locker room talk not only from guys but from women too, so I'm not gonna go, this is a sexist dude, or maybe he's sexist light, or maybe he just talks like everyone else talks, and I've been around all of it from both men and women. Regardless, on we go. Here we have a fairy queen who comes to Dresden, blackmailing him. Karen Murphy, his good friend at the Chicago Police Department, will be compromised by some photos of her doing something illegal involving weaponry that she is not supposed to possess. Well, he doesn't want this to happen, so he goes ahead and does what she says and has to go find what's called the Word of Kemmler. Unfortunately, there are some, well, fortunately, story-wise, there are these necromancers, people who are controlling the dead, who are after this word too. What they're going to do with it is they're going to perform a ritual using it that is going to summon all kinds of power. It's almost Halloween in this book, and it's almost Halloween for real. And basically summon all types of power to them so they can consume it and become literal gods. However, they're all kind of poking at each other. They all want it for themselves, but they're teaming up to at least get it that far before they start turning on each other. That seems to be their arrangement. Along the way, Harry's going to pick up some teammates. He has his half-brother, Thomas, who is a vampire himself, and they have a nice evolving relationship here. Thomas is a vampire, and he doesn't want to, he's a different type of vampire who feeds off people psychically, but he does have to feed. And on one occasion nearly killed someone that was close to him. And so Harry just wants to understand what it's like being him, because he has to do this. And he sees the world through his vampire view of the world. But he is his half-brother, and he's the only family he has, and he wants to try to connect with him, and he does. And Thomas becomes, well, to a certain extent anyway, and Thomas becomes one of his partners through this. The other partner he picks up is this fellow, I for the life of me can't remember if it's Butter or Butters. I think it's Butters. I'm going to call him Butters until I figure out otherwise. I'm going to go dig into here. So Butters is a mortician, or I'm sorry, let's call him a forensic type guy. He's the guy that's going to do the autopsy on dead bodies at the police station. However, Butters has become initiated into the supernatural world. He knows there's some magic out there, but he's not quite solidly convinced until he gets with Harry here. It appears that Butters has some connection to this word, and so the necromancers are after him, so Harry has to protect him. Butters is a full-blown coward. He's the one that's going to freeze, shaking his boots. He's going to run. He's not going to help. Thomas wants to, like, dude, you got to get rid of him or he's going to get us killed or something. But no, he sticks it out. He keeps Butters around, especially since he has to protect him. The other teammate in previous books, Harry got a puppy. Only it's been about a year later in this book, and that puppy is a monster. A big, honking, magic monster puppy. We find out it's got a little bit more intelligence than the average dog, so he's got himself a magical pet protector. Sometimes they might call that a familiar in wizard terms, and we'll see how they decide to define it. And so we get, as it goes, how far should I go here? Butters, I think, might actually wind up, and I don't know, this would be a wrong guess, but he could wind up being perhaps an apprentice, because in this book at one point he shows Butters how to do this magical circle of protection around himself, and he's able to do it. He says most people can do that, they just don't know, and Butters did it, and I'm wondering if maybe he's You know, he's got a scientific mind, so he wants to overanalyze things, and he might be able to literally brain his way into wizarddom, become a magic user. So we'll see what happens there with that relationship, and with Thomas, and with the dog. Now, Murphy here, so this is one of my criticisms here. In the beginning of this book, Murphy comes along and informs Harry that she's going on a vacation. And she's going on a vacation with someone else, another man. Now, throughout these books, even though Harry might enjoy looking at her, he keeps going on about, we're just friends, she can do whatever the hell she wants. His half-brother Thomas, the sex vampire, is like, dude, you're like blind. You should get her, and you're not doing it. Well, when she goes off with this other man, here's the problem. In the previous book, Harry has to recruits Karen and this fellow by the name of Kincaid. And Kincaid is not a good guy. Now, in their adventure, there's this kind of stupid scene, and it is gratuitous. They need to get through these infrared sensors, or else they're going to set off a bomb. They're trying to save some children in this vampire coven. And so the smallest one, being Karen, she's going to squeeze through. Darn it, she can't quite make it. Well, we're going to have to get those pants off. And they get her pants off her. And then Kincaid has to grab hold of her in her bare flesh and push her through and help her out. Well, it'd been so long that Murphy decides she kind of liked it. So she's going on vacation with this Kincaid guy. Here's the problem. Harry has wizard sight. He can turn it on and magically take a look at the world. When he looks at Karen Murphy, she's like this golden warrior, angel, divine thing. He turned it on Kincaid, and he's like this large, shadowy, demon, evil thing, and he's centuries old. He was the right-hand man of the father of Vlad Tepes, who we call Dracula. This is a bad dude. So the general idea here is that here's Murphy and Dresden being friends, and he should get with her, but he's not. And so she's like, well, the bad boy's offering, so I'll run off with him. Well, this isn't just a bad boy. This is apparently an evil man who's some kind of dark power, and Harry doesn't bother to tell her this. Excuse me, this is like some evil demon thing. You might want to not, just stay home and he can go somewhere else. He doesn't tell her this. Why wouldn't you tell someone that? The other thing is, even though this is essentially Harry telling you the story afterwards, there is always this ticking time bomb. We've only got so much time to get here and get this done. But because he's telling you this after the fact, he can take time to elaborate on things as they go. However, if he's just telling the story, there's this moment where time's running out. The bad guys are about to win. The ritual's about to end, and they're going to get all the power. And what are they doing? Standing around talking about it. Standing around talking to each other. Hey, man, good job. We're on the same team. I like what you do. Good job. Hey, good job. Hey, man. Hey, good job. All right. We're on the same team. Hey, I like you. I like you, too. You're doing that. You just said, oh, no. The bad guys are going to win. We got to stop them. Hurry, hurry, hurry. All right. Oh, hey. Yeah, I like you. Oh, I appreciate you, too. No. you save that stuff for after you stop the bad guys. Then you can talk about how much you like each other and what you do. Harry in this, so the vampire war that has been set up in previous books, but it's been going on in the background. You just hear about it, and you hear about it more in this one too. Well, apparently the vampires made a major offensive, and the wizards just got creamed. And so they have these their own police force called wardens, which are basically just more wizards. And they recruit Harry because their numbers have dwindled so much. One in particular called Morgan, who has made appearances in previous books, hates Harry with zealotry, and wants to turn on him in a minute, and actually at one point tried to coerce him into attacking him so he can have an excuse to kill him. But reluctantly, he has to accept the will of the other wardens to make Harry a warden so they can go stop some bad guys. I wondered if at some point, if Morgan was just going to keep going along this road and just get his ass killed for it, or if he was going to change in some way. He has a small inkling of character arc in this, that Morgan guy, so we'll see what happens there. So we've got Morgan, we've got Murphy, we've got Butters, his half-brother, we've got the vampire war still going on, all these little plots laid down, getting laid out for future books. This is just coming together so good, despite a couple negatives here and there throughout. As one person put it, the airplane took off. There's some turbulence, but otherwise you're in for a good ride. And I am enjoying this so much. Going right on to the next book. Proven Guilty, book 8. And once I'm done with this, I'm over the hump halfway, because there's 15 full novels and then 2 anthologies. And I haven't made up my mind about the anthologies yet. We'll see what happens as I go. So, read the description for you. There's no love lost between Harry Dresden, the only wizard in Chicago in the Chicago phone book, and the White Council of Wizards, who find him brash and undisciplined. But war with the vampires has thinned their ranks, so the council has drafted Harry as a warden and assigned him to look into rumors of black magic in the Windy City. As Harry adjusts to his new role, another problem arrives in the form of a tattooed and pierced daughter of an old friend, all grown up and already in trouble. If this is who I think it is, there are, let's call them modern day knights in shining armor, even though they're not wearing armor like medieval armor. They do have magic swords and divine power. And this fellow by the name of Michael, in a previous book, his wife does not like Harry, even at one point getting a little physical with him. And as I described a little character change here and there for Harry, he stands up to her at one point, and so they're a little more on even ground. And that guy has a daughter, and I think that's who this is. Her boyfriend is the only suspect in what looks like a supernatural assault straight out of a horror film. Malevolent entities that feed on fear are loose in Chicago, and it's all in a day's work for a wizard, his faithful dog, and a talking skull named Bob. Something about Bob, I should say. So Bob, this in the previous, this one I just finished here, Word of Kemmler. Well, Kemmler was this old evil wizard, and he owned Bob the Skull, and the skull is just a container for the spirit of Bob. And Bob is a fountain of information, sort of like Harry's magical computer, if you want to look at it that way, or library. Well, Bob takes on the personality of whomever owns him. So when he was with this Kemmler guy, he was evil. At one point, one of the antagonists in his book gets a hold of him, and once again, Bob takes on a malevolent side to himself. So when he takes on, it just occurred to me while I was reading this, Bob takes on the aspects of the people that own him. Well, Bob is he's a helpful but full-blown perv, much like Harry. So he has to bring Victoria's Secret magazines to Bob every once in a while in order to get Bob to do anything. I just thought that was a funny realization. It just occurred to me. Something I forgot about. I can't believe this. And these are my favorite scenes in the book. In a previous book, we have to deal with fallen angels. They're called the Fallen. They are contained in these coins. And trying to save someone else from touching the coin, Harry puts his hand on a coin. Uh-oh. He's now got a rider. Well, he takes the coin and he buries it in his basement under 2 feet of concrete. And then he finds out he's got a rider. A little piece of that got on him, like a copy. So the original's still in the coin, but another aspect of it is in his body. I believe it's pronounced Lucial, taking the form of a woman. a very attractive woman. And she, of course, this is a demon, a fallen angel, a grand manipulator, out to take control of the host. And Harry knows all about that. And she offers him power, magical instructions. I can help you out. It'll be easier for you to thwart the forces of evil. And he sees right through this and says, I'm not interested. And in his mind locks her up. There is a further reveal about who she is in his life that was just spectacular. I'll do a little spoiler here, so turn your head if you're gonna read these. He meets this woman named Sheila and doesn't realize that she's not real. It was this Lucian woman, Lucial, who was in his head and just summoned her in his head to try to work her way into his mind. And there's this big reveal as he's talking to her in what he thinks is her apartment. And he realizes, wait, what's going on here? And everything dissolves away into this ruin, this damaged building. And she's not really there. She was just in his head. Another scene with her. There's 3 awesome scenes in here with her. Harry gets into his own head. He's been knocked unconscious. And it takes the form of this black floor. And there's just a single light shining down, creating a circle. One chair is her, bound up. Harry has a subconscious he's able to talk to like it's a separate person, and he's there too. And now he finds out that his subconscious has been talking to her and agrees with her that we need to we can keep control of her. And so we want to use this power she can give us. She can make us really, really capable. And Harry reluctantly agrees, especially with the battle that he has to go into. So stay for the various plot lines. Murphy again, Morgan, Butters, his half-vampire brother, his vampire half-brother, and this right-along fallen angel. So come for that and stay for the undead T-Rex writing. That's good stuff right here. Wonderful book. To Proven Guilty. So I just started reading Dresden because I wanted to start reading Dresden, but apparently October for some readers is Occult Detective Month. And when I originally read the first Dresden book many years ago, I thought it was just kind of a John Constantine light. So Hellblazer, DC Comics, John Constantine. And so where John Constantine is more of a horror comic, and this is more just urban fantasy. But since it was Occult Detective Month, and there's a whole new series for John Constantine out there, I went and bought them. It's supposed to be 11 issues. I've got the first 9, which I had to go to about 3 different comic stores to collect. And apparently he's been infected with some kind of rot, so he's almost like a walking zombie, and I guess he's got to find out and cure himself. That's about all I know. But just because it was Occult Detective Month and they had a new series of John Constantine out, the Occult Detective, not to say I'm not loving Dresden, because I am, but I'm going to delve back into some John Constantine action. We'll see how that goes, and probably do a video on, maybe I'll do a double if I can get to reading both of these this week. We'll see. That's it. All done. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Hope new people stay. A couple new people this week. 340 something. Again, haven't break 350 yet. Hope you stay. Have a good day. Have a good week. Bye-bye now.